Welcome everybody to the Present Father podcast. I am your host, Andrew. Hey guys, I downloaded a few episodes. I hope y'all have all watched it. I hope y'all all enjoyed the fathers who've been on there and shared their story with me and with the world. As you can see, these dads, these fathers, they have became vulnerable, shared their journey, shared their story of what being a present father is, and how they're continuing to strive just to be a present dad, present father, someone their kids can rely on, can lean on, and continue growing as a man, as a father, as a husband, and as a person in whole. But today, I come to you today as I'm still learning to be a better present father. I have my own journey in itself that I will be sharing as I go through this podcast and as this podcast grows, and I hope that it continues to grow. Um, as I shared before, this podcast is a podcast that fathers can come on and share their journey and share their challenges as being a father and what they went through and what worked and what didn't, and how we can learn from them. Either take what they've learned and see if it fits our life, or if it doesn't, and try to share what other dads have learned or what other dads have tried to make their lives a little better, make their kids' lives a little better. And like me, I'm here today because I have a I have a daughter going into high school. So I have an oldest daughter who has graduated. She's in college. She is doing her prereqs for nursing. So, but with that story with my oldest, um, she lived with her mom and she would come up on the weekends, but she mainly did a lot of, or she did a lot of her school down where she lived with her mom. So I really didn't get the whole life of seeing my oldest go from middle school to or elementary to middle school to high school, and how to really deal with that. Eventually my oldest, she ended up doing homeschool, and she's obviously doing great. But my second oldest, this is the my first time that I'm going into high school and dealing with the new life. But coming to that, I wanted to come to the podcast and just share what I have been trying to figure out and trying to deal with. We'll start off by this. A couple weeks ago, my daughter, she is on the freshman cheer team, and super proud of her. But she got invited to a high school party. And guys, we all know, we've all been there. Man, seriously, I was blown away because she's just leaving eighth grade and now she's in she's approaching the high school life, and now I'm having to deal with those things and trying to figure out how to navigate that life. I've talked to other dads and talked to my own dad, and my own dad has shared that life will throw you some curveballs, and those curveballs sometimes you obviously got to just try to figure it out. And it's the truth, because now as my daughter is getting older and figuring out life, I'm scared myself, and just trying to maintain that relationship, and make sure she still grows as a human being and finding herself. I still have to be that dad, that security, that person, that man that just keeps her in line and just shows her the way. But at the same time, I got to let her grow and, let her figure out herself. And I think right now with me, that's been like the hardest part is trying to do that. So dads, if you're out there that you've had, a kid already been through high school or about to approach high school and you're having the same feelings, please reach out to me. We can share, we can vibe and see if we can go off of each other. But as we go through those times, I myself have so many questions of how to prepare. And as you can tell with the podcast, this is a place as where we grow, and I want to continue growing. And I want to make sure that I'm not that overbearing dad, but at the same time, I keep my daughter safe because it's about keeping our kids safe. It's about keeping our kids around the right people. And as adults or any of the viewers watching this, um, the world is a crazy place even now, more than when we were kids or when we were teenagers growing up, from drugs to alcohol to, everything. It's out there and it's even worse. And when we were teenagers, that stuff was still out there, but now you have other drugs out there that is even more dangerous that you just want to keep your kids away from. And when they walk past our door and they go hang out, we just hope that the lessons that we taught them in what we have conversations that we've had around the dinner table, they go out there and they make the right choice and they make sure they know that they have someone to call, which is us. And I've shared with my daughter that, whenever she goes out there and she feels uncomfortable or goes to a party and needs to come home, to call me. Don't hop in the car with other people, especially if they're out there doing whatever they're doing. I would rather her call me and get her home safe than get a call, and it's a different story. But yeah, guys, I am there, and I'm just trying to navigate and soak it all up. I have just so many questions that I wish there was another dad here that can share those challenges or even the questions that I have that can somewhat be answered. But dealing with a teenage daughter and her growing up and her finding herself, there's so many things to as a dad that I have to understand and let grow. So I was, searching the internet and trying to find resources that can navigate me. And there's this actually a website I went to, and it was a website for trying to, be a better dad with a teenage daughter. And on that website there was a few pointers, and I want to share that with you. And one of the pointers is maintaining neutral status in mother daughter disputes. Um, as dads, we get into trying to save the world, and sometimes the world doesn't need saving, especially us dads in conversations of mom and daughter. And it says, a teenage daughter and a mother in the same picture, there will be at least the occasional power struggle or dispute. And that's the truth. And us trying to stay back, our first instinct maybe to side with our child, But on the other hand, presenting a united front is important for parents who are attempting to establish and maintain boundaries. Um, Knowing that you have to support your wife and knowing that I got to support my wife, I will always 100% do that. But also making sure my daughter understands that she has my support too. And sometimes you got to stay out of it and allow them, mom and daughter, to figure it out before we step in. Um, Trying to be making sure we're neutral is a big thing too. But more sense siding with our wife, and again, I will always side with my wife, and then that's just how it's going to be. But making both of them understand or try to understand if they ask for my opinion. Obviously, I'm going to stay out of it. I'm totally going to stay out of it. But um, maintaining that neutralness is probably a obviously a good thing. The second point, dealing with puberty and having to watch her grow and you know her challenges and growing up and her up and downs. As a dad, that's been hard because you know you have a daughter, you have to be somewhat soft instead of being more stern like you would have a son. I would think I don't have a son, but I would if I did. That's what I would be more stern with her with him. And now the way my life is, I have three daughters and trying to learn how to be more calm, to be more soothing and come with a chiller approach with that is something new. But it says, as a father, you know that your primary goal is to help your daughter become productive and independent as she's growing up to become an adult. Because, 4 years in high school goes by really fast. For them, it probably doesn't, but it goes by really fast. And then life starts. And trying to teach them everything about life and choices and making the right choices, to making the wrong choices can affect you. And, you want to make sure you teach them all that. And I want to make sure I teach my daughters that as well. It also states that understanding that growing up is inevitable part of childhood and that your daughter is becoming her own woman isn't easy for a parent of any gender, but can be particularly stressful for fathers. And it has, because I'm going to share that I was a young boy at one time too, and you see these other young boys, and we've talked about the sex conversation and making the correct choices and understanding when you say no is no. That's tough because you see how we used to be when we were kids, and now that our daughters or our kids are where we used to be at, how things are out there. So all I'm hoping is that my daughter makes the right choices, and I always remind her to that the choice she makes is a reflection of how we have raised her, and I'm hoping that she makes those good choices and understand that she's also on the cheer team that can affect her too. So two now this third point was letting your child make their own mistakes. As parents, we try to fix them easily. We automatically try to fix them, but we got to make sure we allow them to make those mistakes and let them learn from those mistakes. Even though it may be tough or it may tug at our hearts, um, they got to learn to make those mistakes. They got to learn from those mistakes and understand that. that mistake that you made, you won't make it again. And those mistakes that you do make, you need to learn from them and understand they may have consequences. And me being a dad, I try to protect them from those consequences of preparing them before the mistake even happens. But um, the most valuable wisdom comes as a result of misled plans or questionable judgment. My wife and I, we try to lead our kids in the best way possible. We are a godly home. We do pray around the table. We do ask God for guidance. And some people believe in it and some people don't, But this home we do, and this home we forever will believe in that. And we just make sure that we teach our kids valuable lessons, as even me teaching my daughters about um, men out there and boys, and sometimes what their goal may be, and understanding that it's okay to stay away from those things if you're not ready, and to always come to me when she needs to talk, or talk to her mom. Like, that's what we're here for, and that's what I would rather do for where I would that's what I would rather her do. Um, our home for our kids is has been always an open door policy. Ever since they were little, we always slept with the door open. I remember when I was a kid, mm, my parents slept with the door closed. Our home, we keep the door open. Girls have nightmares to scary dreams. They run in our room, and I feel that's how we have built our home, is to make sure our kids share anything they want, because this is our safe haven, and I never don't want them to not share and be afraid to share something that tugs at them, or they've been really thinking about, that they wish they can share. That's our open door policy, honestly, here. Um, and does it work? Yes. And there's times where it doesn't, but majority of the time it does, and that's what I want to just instill in our home, is making sure that our kids are comfortable enough to share everything with us. I feel like this day and age, our kids' generation, I feel that we have become, it's more of like a friendship, I would say. I mean, please, anybody there, comment, share, um, if their relationship with their kids is I say quote unquote a friendship, only because I feel you don't want to have that friendship with your kids. They want to, there should be strictly a I'm the parent, you're the child type life. But we joke, we laugh, we joke about we talk about each other, and I mean, my daughter calls me bruh. So I think that relationship wasn't what it used to be back then. When I was a kid, you didn't go to your parents a lot. They worked. Some of the things you went through as a kid, you didn't share. You left it on you, wherever wherever it happened out there. You only share with your friends. You never, that door wasn't really truly open as when I felt like I was a kid. And maybe it was, and maybe I just didn't share because that's wasn't the thing to do, was talk with your parents like that. But I feel this is a totally different generation. Obviously you can tell from, TikTok to Instagram, that parents are doing things with their kids, and doing TikTok videos that in doing challenges, and it's more fun and it's more open, and that's where I think we are, and that's I think that's how it is now. So as we just, I just hope as they go through life, they're able to to just continue sharing and making sure that they know that this is their safe haven and they can always come to us. Hard part. Here we go. Being a listener rather than a fixer. That's a big thing because as I'm learning, being a father, all things don't need fixing. Sometimes your kids just want to share what's been heavy on their heart or heavy in their brain, and just sitting there and listening to them is so much more help than us trying to fix it. Maybe it doesn't need fixing. Maybe they just wanted to share, and that's going to make them feel better. So I'm learning that myself, is trying to be a better listener than a fixer. The next point really stuck out to me because it's the truth is staying active and involved when girls become distant. We obviously know that our kids will eventually branch off or do their own thing. It says part of growing up and becoming an adult is asserting independence from parents and family members. So again, as I go through this with my daughter, she goes out a lot or she goes to her friends a lot, and she's not home much anymore, and it's crazy because you miss that. And my wife has always said they're only little for so long, and when they grow up, they're not going to want to hang out as much. And that's is the truth. And I'm seeing that with my daughter, and I talk about her a lot because even though I have an oldest daughter, the experiences are totally different because my oldest daughter lived with her mom at their house. So these new experiences I'm dealing with, and I'm learning from, and I can see that just trying to stay active, trying to just still be there in her life in the sense of checking how she's doing, taking her to, like, now she's picked up golf, and like now we go to the driving range. I sit down and talk to her and ask her how she's doing and how's life. And as kids they share the minimum. But staying active, guys, I will say continue doing that. Make sure they don't, when they do stray off a little bit, you just double check on them. That's how I feel I'm doing it. Is it working? I feel it does. If you have a different approach, please share. Again, this podcast, this community is about growing. Again, I don't have all the answers, and if you have a different strategy that may help me or any dads out there, please comment, share. Um, let's learn and grow together. The next point is dating and romantic entanglements. I feel probably like we'll probably want that will one day when it does come. I think that's what will be the toughest for me. Obviously, she needs my daughter. They need to grow up. They eventually will have a boyfriend, and they will hang out with them and they will spend time with them. And when that time comes, I guess I will have to deal with it then. But I just want her to understand that I will always be her dad, and if she ever needs anything, I will always be there. And I guess I'll let her grow. I guess I'll let her have a boyfriend. But if she ever does just need to share anything, I'm here. And dads, please share your situation or your challenges when your daughter um, first ended up having a boyfriend. I'm not there yet, so it's kind of tough for me to try to share those experiences because thank you God I'm not there yet, so I don't have to deal with the knuckleheadedness of young boys, and obviously I will eventually get there, but I can't speak on it yet. So as we move forward, let's go to the last part that I feel is really big, and I feel that my wife has taught me a lot about that is a girl's self-esteem. Um, I feel girls are always dealing with the social media to having a certain way to look or having to have their hair done a certain way, is probably gonna be tough. Young girls are sometimes ruthless, and I've seen it with my own kids and having to deal with that, um, and trying to make sure they keep a smile on their face and and letting them know and telling them that they are beautiful, that, you don't have to change you to be accepted. If you're changing who you are to be accepted, then those people don't even need to be around you, or you don't need to be around them. Um, I will say I've dealt with that a few times already, and it's tough because when that thing does happen, you want to shelter them, you want to just keep them secure, but making sure that I continue to keep their self-esteem up and making sure, I let them know that they are worth something, that they are beautiful, that they don't have to change who they are to be accepted is okay. And again, repeating, if you have to change, I tell my kids, if you have to change who you are, they don't need to be around, you don't need to be around them. And just keeping it simple is just the way to be, and, as they grow up, they will eventually realize that that's all we were trying to do, so I will say that is a tough part, is making sure my daughter's self-esteem is bright, and making her understand that she is beautiful, and she's smart, and um, just because something doesn't work out with her, but it works out with her friends, doesn't mean that the world is going down. Sometimes it does suck. You have to explain that to her. Just sometimes that's how things work. But it says in there, girls tend to base their own ideas regarding self worth on how their fathers treat them. And in that point, that's the truth. I try my best to make sure my daughters are treated extremely well. They're loved. That I tell them I do love them. They will one day. The hugs. I do give hugs. I will say it's like a 3 second hug. They make fun of it a lot. But I continue try to give them those hugs, and show them that I do care, and when they go out to the world and they do find a boyfriend, that they see how I treated them, that they will be reflected, or it will reflect on the boys that they choose. Again, my wife, we go back to her a lot. We Early on in the years, she told me that our daughters watch how you treat me. And she is so right. And as the years have gone through, I feel my wife and I, our relationship has gotten so much better because other than I truly love her, the older and the longer we go, um, I want to make sure my daughters get to see who I am towards their mom and how I treat their mom, because I want them to make sure they don't pick someone like me, but have the values like me. And if they see, okay, that's how my dad treats my mom, that's how I should be treated. And it's the truth. So I do my best to make sure that I treat their mom with the utmost respect. I try to make sure they see that their mom means the world to me. So when they go out there, they're they make sure that they are they are the world to their boyfriends. Does it all work that way? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But it's all a learning curve, and they will eventually learn, and they will eventually go through their own ups and downs. And as you go through these points of being there for you, for me being there for my daughters, they're all going to go through it. And the best way to do is just to make sure I stay by their side and make sure that they are loved when they don't feel loved, that their self-esteem is picked up when they feel their self-esteem is down. Um, but those are the new things that I'm dealing with. And guys, if you're out there and you want to share your your journey of how you dealt with a daughter in high school, going into high school, and some of the challenges you faced, again, please share, because we all need to grow. This is, again, my first time in the sense of having a new high school child going through it. These experiences are new for me. So I want to learn. I want to make sure I don't make the same mistakes, or make mistakes that could be, I guess, in a sense, detrimental to our relationship. And when my other daughters grow up, I'll make sure that since I went through it already, I'll know what to do, or try to know what to do. Guys, if you're out there, please share and give your 2 cents on how you did it. Again, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for even giving the Present Father podcast an opportunity to, you know, vibe in your ears, and even giving it a few minute listen. There will be other guests that will be coming on, guys. I will say that. I know I haven't dropped a episode probably in a couple weeks, and that was a sense of making sure everybody got to listen to it, got to vibe with it and understand what kind of podcast this is. And there will be more episodes coming. And there will be episodes where it's just me and me sharing some of the challenges that I face, or some of the new experiences that I've gone through, that you will hear. And hopefully you just stay tuned, guys. Thank you for joining. Again, my name's Andrew. This is the Present Father Podcast, and I will catch you on the next episode. Take care, guys. Have a good one.